Hey guys, it's Harry the Red Bagnall Engine here, and as you just saw from that wonderful intro, we are today going to be doing a review on the Thomas and Friends series, All Engines Go. So without further ado, let's get right into it, shall we? So for anyone who isn't sure, the first Thomas and Friends began in 1945 with the first book being The Three Railway Engines, and since then loads and loads more books have been published until eventually the series was then adapted for TV by the one and only Britt Allcroft. What made the original Thomas so special was, unlike a lot of other kid shows which either used paper still animation or stop motion animation, Thomas was most famous for being real model engines running on set with moving eyes, smoke units, and even steam being able to emit from the whistles. And that's what made Thomas a really special show. And it still holds up to many fans many years later. As everyone in the Thomas fandom knows, the series soon switched to full CGI in 2009. The animation was provided by no other than Nitrogen Studios. They, for the most part, did really well. Sure, there are some moments in the animation that were not good, such as the grass textures that were never ever improved on, and also with how thick the rails are. Why are the rails so thick? They've literally never gone back and fixed that. That even remained a thing in the later Brenner seasons. We all know that the writing in this era was definitely not great. Why? Each episode would start off all the blooming same. Usually they would all start off with saying how happy the engines are to work on the Fat Controller's railway. If you don't believe me, watch this clip.
On the island of Sodor, all the engines are proud to work for the Fat Controller's railway. On the island of Sodor, the engines like to puff and huff their hardest. On the island of Sodor, all the engines are busy engines.
Shut up, narrator. We already know this. Thankfully, in 2013, Andrew Brenner, who is absolutely amazing by the way, brought an amazing new team of writers and improved everything from the Nitrogen era and gave us a reason to watch the show again. Seriously, Andrew Brenner is such a good writer, and definitely one of the best writers in the entire show, if I'm going to be honest. But it wasn't just the writing that was fantastic in this era. The animation was amazing. Sure, while I still do think Nitrogen did a good job, I'm sorry, you just cannot fault the Brenner era's animation, especially in seasons 19-20, and I will give season 21 credit as well for having wonderful animation. Merchandise, however, though, definitely wasn't doing as well as it had done in previous years. Why was the reason for this? Well, because Mattel redesigned the toys to look, let's just say, a lot more toy-like. And sadly, it caused the series to be revamped again in 2018, and this time it gave us Big World, Big Adventures, which is cast by Thomas fans as one of the worst eras of the entire show. And to be fair, I could totally understand why. Unfortunately, Big World, Big Adventures only lasted for 3 seasons, which once again caused Thomas to get revamped again in 2021. But this time, it gave us this.
Here comes Thomas on the #1 engine. Whoa!
We now finally get to the part of the video that you guys have been waiting for. So, all engines go. I'm sorry. What the heck? This is not Thomas. It just isn't. This is not Thomas. Like, Mattel, are you serious? What? Look, I know Big World Big Adventures failed, Mattel, but why did you have to turn Thomas into, well, this? Like, what? Why is Thomas using his wheels as hands? Why has he got a Railway Series running board? Why are his whistles so far apart? And why is his wheel splashers joined up with his tanks? I mean, I know a lot of the merchandise depicted him that way, but what? But if you think that's the worst of All Engines Go, wait till you hear this. Turns out that Diesel is now friends with Thomas. I'm sorry. What? Why did Diesel become friends with Thomas? In the original Railway Series books and TV series, Diesel was always known as this cunning villain, always trying to get Steed to trick steam engines into going to the scrapyard so that Diesels could take over the railway. But here, they're friends now, and that just strays even more further away from the original. Look, I get it. All Engines Go is a reboot of the original show, which you'd think, but usually with some reboots do try to keep it close to the original. While there's a lot of reboots out there that don't do this, there are some reboots that do improve things over the original. But here, All Engines Go feels nothing like Thomas. If it was just an original show, it wouldn't receive the criticism that the show gets. But while there's a lot of Thomas fans that do like it, then that's great. But this just doesn't feel like Thomas. I know I've talked a lot about the bad stuff, but I do want to address some things that I do find good in All Engines Go. Yes, you heard me correctly. There are some things that I do think are good about AEG, which I'm going to go through right now. One thing that I think is good about All Engines Go is some of the returning characters that we've got. One of the best ones being Salty, in my opinion. The reason for that is because Salty is probably one of the only few characters who's actually in his original personality. Only difference is he has properly become a pirate. But hasn't that been Salty's character since he was first introduced back in season 6 of the original show? Toby, who hasn't long been in the series now, is also a great returning character. He definitely hasn't been Flanderized like he was in the early Hit era and Nitrogen era. If anything, I'd say Toby's character is actually an improvement over those two eras. I mean, Toby's not timid. He's got that wise old engine personality and isn't afraid to try anything new, which is honestly, considering for All Engines Go, is actually pretty consistent. But the best character in AEG for me would have to be Brake Car Bruno. In case you guys didn't know, before my old channel got terminated, I actually did a review on him, saying about why I like Bruno, and I'm sure you guys are probably going to know the reason why, because he's autistic. The reason I like Bruno so much is because I have autism myself, and seeing a character that I can really relate to is just really nice, because I can really relate to Bruno, and that's why, in my opinion, I think he's the best All Engines Go character. Animation isn't terrible. Sure, it's nowhere near as good as the animation in the later and earlier Nitrogen seasons, or the later Brenner seasons. but it's not the worst either. I mean, I do still hate the way the characters use their wheels as hands. I mean, even for a cartoon show, like, that is just ridiculous. Because, as a Thomas fan, it does feel really strange. But it still doesn't make the animation terrible. But I do just sometimes wish the characters would just act like trains sometimes. But sadly, those are the only few positives that I have to say about All Engines Go. I mean, at the time I'm making this video, I don't hate it as much. I'm kind of neutral at it at the moment. But it just still doesn't feel like Thomas. I know most of this video has just been me ranting about all the problems, but can you really blame me? Let's just hope that when the eventual Thomas and Friends live action movie comes out, let's hope it will save the franchise. But I'm actually starting to have doubts on it now. Alright guys, well, that is sadly bringing us to the end of this review / retrospective, because there wasn't really too much that I wanted to talk about. But if I have missed anything, guys, let me know in the comments below. And if there's anything that you guys feel I need to improve on, please feel free to tell me. Because unlike most YouTubers, I can handle criticism. If anything, sometimes it helps me. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and don't forget, if you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button down below and turn on the notification bell.